Hey there, I'm a dad in my early 30s. Back in my early 20s, something happened between me and my friend's mom, and I thought I'd share that story with you. In middle school, I was really close with a buddy of mine, Evan. We used to meet up in the alley in front of our houses every day to walk to school together, and during exam periods, we'd study at each other's homes. Evan's family was quite well off. His dad was in the import-export business, dealing with large shipments of goods from China. Whenever I visited Evan's place, his mom would jokingly complain about how his dad was always on the phone. His hard work paid off with a good income and frequent business trips. Evan got into a prestigious university, and I also managed to get into a decent one, though not quite as prestigious as his. In college, we organized group dates and were active in joint clubs, meeting up often. Thinking back, I probably spent more time at Evan's house than my own. Evan's mom was stunning, tall, slim, and with a quiet demeanor. It was the first time I'd seen a mom with such height. My own mom was short and a bit on the plump side, taking after my grandfather. Evan's house was filled with exotic souvenirs his dad brought back from abroad. I remember being moved the first time I tried ice wine that his dad had brought home. She doted on Evan, her only son. When Evan was a sophomore in college, he went to the U.S. as an exchange student. He was supposed to be gone for a year, and we had a small going-away party for him. Evan, confident as ever, said he'd be back before we knew it, and asked me to keep his mom company so she wouldn't get lonely. Jokingly, I asked, "Is it cool if I go on dates with your mom?" He laughed and said, "Of course, a handsome guy like you and a beautiful woman like my mom. People would definitely take a second look. I've often been told I have a manly appearance. I'm not particularly tall at 5'9", but I've been popular with the girls thanks to my looks. After classes, I worked part-time at a coffee shop near my house, finishing up around 9 p.m. I'd get a bit of a thrill whenever customers looked at me a bit too long while paying. Evan's mom would sometimes come by the coffee shop where I worked to get takeout. I'd always throw in a cookie or a muffin for her, and she'd light up like a schoolgirl. 2 months after Evan went to the U.S., something happened in their family. My uncle was often abroad for business, where he ended up meeting another woman, and the truth eventually came out. He ended up giving all his assets to my aunt and moved out of the house. From what my aunt told me, Evan was her first and only love, marrying him without any prior relationship experience. So you can imagine the shock and betrayal she felt learning he had another life abroad, especially after all the care she put into his well-being, preparing health tonics and arranging for expensive health checkups every year due to his busy schedule. Feeling even lonelier after finalizing their divorce while Evan was still abroad. My aunt shared how she had devoted her life to supporting him, often sacrificing her social life and personal time. She would stay up late, gathering educational materials until Evan came home from his study sessions, believing that as a mother, she couldn't rest until her son had finished studying for the night. She even quietly read in the living room while he studied late into the night. And during his senior year of high school, they hardly watched TV to ensure a quiet study environment. This was a stark contrast to my family's approach, where my mom believed in self-directed learning and had her own responsibilities to attend to. Witnessing the unraveling of my aunt's marriage and the stress it caused her was heart-wrenching. It felt like the years of effort to maintain her family were crumbling before her eyes due to her husband's betrayal. She often sat quietly at the edge of the coffee shop where I work, likely finding it hard to be alone at home. After my shifts, I'd join her for late dinners. Noticing how she had become even thinner, I tried to cheer her up with chocolate cookies, suggesting they might give her some energy, but she would sigh, saying she didn't have the energy to eat or to hate anyone. Evan was unaware of his parents' divorce, focusing on his studies abroad. My aunt planned to wait until his return to break the news, fearing the stress it might cause him. She also suggested we go for drives on the weekends, showing off her impressive driving skills. One time, we drove to the beach where we talked about her life. She shared the pain of losing her parents and her only sister to cancer, expressing how hard it was to cope without family support. I couldn't help but feel deeply sorry for her during those moments. Once, a woman found a popular lipstick brand among women in her 20s dropped in her husband's car and asked him about it. He casually mentioned it might have been left by an accounting employee, although she didn't know much about her husband's business dealings. There was an employee named Miles who had been with the company since its inception. Upon inquiring, Miles revealed the boss was quite popular among the female staff. He often hosted company dinners and offered salaries higher than those in similar positions at other companies. However, he seemed to have a particularly close relationship with the accounting employee. This was further hinted at by the existence of a small room inside the boss's office, which had a bed installed last year. The accounting employee often worked overtime alone, as other employees were sent home. This sparked rumors among the staff, though no one knew the exact nature of their relationship. The woman was furious and at a loss, unsure of how to confront her son, Evan, upon his return home. She wanted to comfort her, as she had always been kind and caring. Do whatever you feel is right. Seek counseling, get some fresh air, and learn something new, she advised, offering her support. Grateful, the woman expressed her appreciation for always being there to listen and spend time with her. They decided to stay out, despite the chilly seaside breeze, hinting at her desire for companionship. They spent the day together, and despite his lack of experience in deep relationships, she welcomed him with a smile and patience. They grew closer, resembling a couple, and she began receiving counseling and participating in programs at the local mental health welfare center, gradually becoming happier. They enjoyed dates whenever possible, and she thanked him for his support during her toughest times, promising to make it up to him in a special way. They tried something challenging that day and were both satisfied with the new experience. She was delighted to have such a relationship with her son's friend, preferring it over calculated meetings through introductions. Occasionally, Evan would call to check on his mother, saying he'd see them soon, leaving her with a sense of guilt, but no words to express it. Before Evan returned from abroad, I even went on a trip with her. It was an eye-opener that such connections could exist in the world. Fast forward 10 years, I ended up marrying a coworker, and we had a child. You might wonder how she's been. Well, we continued our relationship until right before I got married. When I told her about my fiancé, she said, "You must not hurt your wife the way you hurt me. I care about you deeply. But let's end things on a good note here. Thank you for being there for me during my toughest times." I still hear about her through Evan. She met a couple of men through introductions, but felt she couldn't trust them enough to remarry. Even mentioned she doesn't feel lonely since he lives nearby and is married now. I suppose this is where I conclude the secret tale with my best friend's beautiful mother. Thank you for reading my story.